Hi, this is Lori from GLP-1 Journey in Review. Today, we're doing a video in my interview series where we talk to people about their weight loss experience. Today, we have with us Gina and Jeff, who are also content creators. All of their links will be linked down below in the description. So when you're done with this video, like and subscribe, then shoot on over to their channel, like and subscribe. It really does help. I want to remind everybody that I am not a healthcare provider. My guests are not healthcare providers. We're talking about what works for us. If you're planning on having a weight loss journey, I strongly suggest that you check with your healthcare provider. All that being said, Gina and Jeff, why don't you introduce yourselves?
All right. So nice to be here with you, Lori. Thank you so much for inviting us. Let's see, what can we say about ourselves?
This is Gina Lebenz.
Yeah,
I'm Jeff Lebenz. We've been married for how long?
35
35
years.
years.
Wow,
35
yay.
years. Yeah. And happily married too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't think
It's
about that too long.
fun.
I'm the comic relief.
Yes, he is my plucky comic relief on our YouTube channel for sure.
That's why she married me. I can make her laugh.
Yes, he can. Let's see. Years ago, we were both school teachers,
And we were both skinny.
Mhm.
and we were both skinny. I have battled obesity for a very long time, but I did not battle obesity as a child. As a
I
child,
didn't even-
and Jeff didn't either. Actually, Jeff didn't battle obesity till he hit 50. When uh, growing up, I'm 59. I color my hair, so
Mhm.
I'm grandma. But I am 59 years old. And so I am Generation X, and our butts were kicked outside. We were to play outside all day long. We were only to come in for meals and a bath and to go to bed.
And I rode my bike everywhere. In fact, I had two different paper routes, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And those are delivered by paper, by bicycle. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
rode our bikes to school, rode our bikes. There was a new mall opening like about 15 miles from our house when I was a kid in Phoenix. And we just told our parents, we're going to go ride our bikes there. And we did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let my kids do that.
I
Yeah.
totally get that as a baby boomer. I'm the end of the baby boomers, but I totally get
Jeff's the
that.
head of baby Bender too. He's 5 years older than me.
Mhm.
Sorry.
So why don't you tell us about your weight loss and medication and so forth?
And yeah, and all that journey. So like I say, so as a kid,
Do you
I
want me to
did
start
not
with the four? Oh, you're going to tell about your kids?
just
Okay.
quick. As
Sorry.
a kid, I did not battle obesity. I was thin, but we didn't have any snacks in our house. My family uh my I'm from divorced parents. They didn't divorce until I was in high school, and both of my parents have since remarried and are very happy with their new partners for a very long time. And but before my mom married my stepdad Ed, my family struggled financially too. So there was no snacks in our house ever. So, but that was helpful for me as a kid. I mean, we still had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but there was no snack foods. There was
Hmm.
no money for snack foods except for maybe at a holiday when my grandma would mail me to dolls, and on birthdays we'd have cake, but that was it. So
Well, you used to have dessert on your birthday, cake. Not
yeah,
on your birthday, no
no
cake.
cake. Exactly. And that helped me as a kid actually, because as a kid, I didn't battle obesity because I didn't have that in the house. But I do know I would have been a chubby kid had we had snacks in the house. And I know this because when I was in eighth grade, I'm half Italian, and my dad's 100% Italian. And we visited my dad and I went and visited my grandmother, my Italian grandmother in Pennsylvania. She had a house in the Poconos. I still played outside because it was still Generation X. And so in the Poconos, I played in the mountains by the little stream. It was
Mhm.
beautiful. She had a community swimming pool. I swam for a couple of hours every day. I was very, very active during the day. But my grandmother, she cooked very calorie dense, delicious meals. And we had a big bowl of ice cream before we went to bed. And I was there for 1 week with my dad, and my mom wasn't there, so she wasn't there to see it. But when my dad and I flew back home to Illinois, and I came home and I walked through the door, my clothes were all tight. My mom had me step on the scale, and I had gained 10 pounds in 1 week at my grandmother's house. And that's as an eighth grader who exercised all day long at grandma's
Mm.
house, but the difference in food. So I know in my heart that I would have battled obesity and I would have been a very, very overweight child had I grown up like that. And my dad battled obesity as a kid being raised by my grandma. And I've interviewed him on my channel. I've got a really funny interview because he's a really funny guy. And he talks about battling obesity as a kid. And he'd been obese his entire life until he started taking Manjaro. And he started taking Manjaro before me. And he, I believe, is a super responder because in 5 months, he lost 50 pounds. I mean,
Mhm.
like that. I took my 100th shot yesterday. It's taken me 100 shots of Manjaro, and I just recently hit my 50th pound marker. But for my
When were you
dad, it took him
diagnosed
5 months. Now,
with the type
I
2 diabetes?
yeah. So I'll get there. So I was a skinny
Okay.
kid. I went to college. College, there was snacks. I didn't drink alcohol as a kid. I was a good, except for, I'm Italian. So every now and again I got to have a half a glass of wine with dinner, sometimes on special occasions or whatever. But I didn't drink in high school. I didn't hang out with friends that drank in high school either. We were all the smarty kids. We had fun, but we were all very smart and very very good kids, and we didn't do alcohol then. But then I went to college. That was a game changer. I learned how to drink a beer while standing on my head. Ate a lot of pizza. When I came home after one semester of college, I left for college at 110 pounds. And when I came home from one semester of college at Christmas, I had gained 40 pounds. And my
Wow.
mom was shocked. And she was like, oh my gosh. And my mom's a nurse practitioner. And my mom looked at me and she said, Gina, there are women who go through 9 months of pregnancy and might not even gain 40 pounds. And you've gained 40 pounds in a semester. And she was worried about me. And so I was like, okay. And so it was so very funny. So second semester, I talked my friends into, because they had gained some weight too. And I said, let's go swimming, because I always loved swimming. Swimming's and I used to like riding my bike. I used to like bike riding and swimming, but that was
Mhm.
it for exercise for me that I enjoy. And so I talked my friends into swimming, and there was a big, huge, wonderful pool on campus. And so we would go swimming every night, but we didn't swim hard. We didn't swim hard and fast. We kind of splashed around and we chit chatted. We flirted with the boys. I mean, we had a good time swimming. We burned a few calories, probably the most calories was walking to the gym, to the gym's pool. But right next to the swimming pool was a Dairy Queen. And
Oh.
so I graduated high school in 84, so this would be spring of 85. And what happened around that time? Blizzards came out at Dairy Queen in the low 80s there, middle 80s. And well, we were so good. We went swimming. So we would get a blizzard, not a large blizzard. We'd get a small blizzard. Well, small blizzard, if you look up the calories, you guys, it's got about 800 calories. Yeah, because they have like ground up candy bars and stuff mixed with ice cream. That's a blizzard. And then they throw in maybe some hot fudge sauce and stuff like that. Very calorie dense. There was no way we were swimming 800 calories off, but we felt it was okay because we had a small blizzard. So I didn't lose any weight second semester either. So college is when I first started. I wouldn't say 150 pounds on my body is truly obese, but it was overweight. And then right before I met Jeff, I started student teaching in Arizona. And I wanted to get off because I pretty much just kept that same 40 pounds. You know, I would lose 10, then gain
Mm-hmm.
15, then maybe lose 12, and then gain 14, you know, that kind of thing, back and forth like that. But when I started my student teaching, I was probably at 150, and I really wanted to shoot and get back down to 110 before I graduated college. So I student taught in Arizona, which is how I ended up meeting Jeff. And I lived with an aunt and uncle, a step aunt and uncle. And at their house, it was a food desert for me, kind of, in their house. Their house was because they gave me free board or no, free room, but I had to buy all my own food. And they had told my stepdad, you know, we'll let her stay here, but we're not going to feed her. You got to pay to feed her or whatever. But I didn't have a lot of money, and they were very neat nicks, very, 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 very clean. She was a dental hygienist and very anti-germ. And
Why did
so
you put that
it was
spoon down on the
scary.
counter?
Yeah, I remember getting in trouble because I put my spoon on the counter after I'd had a bite of frozen yogurt, and then on my foot I rested the spoon on the counter, and she's like, "Do you know how many germs are on that spoon, Gina? And now they're crawling all over my counter." So I mean, that's how clean she was. So I mean, she was a really good person, and I love her dearly. But to keep things clean, so I didn't get on her nerves. Um, for breakfast, I would buy at the beginning of the week, I'd buy a 6-pack of Honey Brand muffins from Bash's. And so I would have one
Grocery store.
grocery store. So I would have
Mm-hmm.
one Honey Brand muffin for breakfast with a glass of water. For lunch, I would have the school lunch, which was a chef salad, and it was a school chef salad. So it had maybe one piece of crappy turkey bologna, one piece of crappy ham deli meat, and a hard boiled egg on a bunch of lettuce with some vegetables and
Wasn't
a
very
little bit of
filling.
salad dressing. Well, it was big, but it didn't. It was mostly vegetables. It didn't have a lot with
Mm-hmm.
it. So I would eat that for lunch. For dinner, I would have a frozen lean cuisine and or a frozen Weight Watcher meal, because that was something that I could throw away and it had no dishes involved except for a fork to eat it with a fork. And then there was a TCBY frozen yogurt store that was really close to their house. And I would buy a pint of it. And then every 3 days, I would buy another pint. And I would eat that. And that's all I ate every single day. And they had an exercise bike. And so when I would come home from student teaching all day, which also burned off a lot of calories, I would ride an exercise bike for 2 hours while watching TV to relax. And then in the morning I would do it all over again. And I got down to 115 pounds when I met Jeff. And so I was able to lose some weight then, but it was extreme exercise and stuff and very
Mm-hmm.
low calorie. And Jeff, oh my gosh, he was
Wait a
so
minute.
thin.
You're going to tell my story?
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to tell my story?
Uh,
Well, finish.
all right.
Go
But
ahead.
anyway, so when I met Jeff, I was 115 pounds and he was extremely skinny. But then, it didn't last because I started teaching and being able to buy my own stuff and have my own apartment and make my own messes. And once I started eating regular food, I started putting on weight again, like I did in college. And then having kids made it even worse. I just got fatter and fatter and fatter. And I did Weight Watchers many, many years, but it was really hard for me. And the weight just kept piling on. And every time I tried to diet, like through Weight Watchers, or one time I did the carbohydrate addicts diet,
Mm-hmm.
where I could only eat essentially pretty much one meal a day, but for 1 hour I could eat as much food as I wanted. And we used to call that the pig meal because I'd just be like chowing down because I had 1 hour to eat,
And don't try and talk to her during the pig meal.
No, that's my hour. That's my hour that I get to eat. Uh, And I was always, always, always hungry. Even while eating, I'm thinking about what my next meal was going to be. So, I mean, which is truly a lot of us who battle obesity, that is a problem that we have. And my weight just ballooned until I finally, in 2020, in October of 2020, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And my A1C was out of this world. I had a 10.2 A1C from my
Wow.
at my diagnosis. And I had what brought me to the doctor, because it was during COVID times. So we were trying not to go to the doctor because you might get COVID or whatever.
Mhm.
So I hadn't done it'd been over a year and a half since I'd had a well check. And in that year and a half time, I went from being regular to flaming type 2 diabetes. And what sent me to the store is we already had our YouTube channel.
Sent you to
We,
the store.
I mean, store to the doctor. I'm sorry. So what sent me to the doctor? We already had our YouTube channel called Anchor Moments, and Anchor Moments are the moments in your life that have anchored your faith. And I would have people from all over the US that would be my guests, and they would share a moment in their life that have anchored their faith.
And because it was during the pandemic, we finally got used to doing things long distance on via Zoom.
Mhm.
And we would do it
We
as
Zoomed,
taped
didn't we?
Zooms, is what we would do. And capture people's special faith stories, and then we would post them. And Jeff was my editor, and so he would edit the videos. And to celebrate when he'd be done with the video, is we would go to Bosa Donuts because Jeff loves donuts, and so that's how I would pay him was with donuts.
Who doesn't love donuts?
Yeah. And
Oh,
usually, I would have 1 or 2 donuts, and that was it when I would have the celebration. But one day, they really liked us at the Bosa Donut store because we'd just be so happy and celebrating. And one day when we went in and did it, they gave us bonus donuts. And when we got home and opened up the lid and saw the bonus donuts, and they were all good donuts, they were all of our favorites at one time. And for the first time in my life, I had 3 donuts in a sitting, not knowing that I had diabetes. So my diabetes friends out there, can you imagine your blood sugar
Mm.
with no diabetes medication in you whatsoever and eating 3 donuts in a sitting? But I did. And then about less than an hour after eating 3 donuts, I was sitting in a chair, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was like my feet were on fire, and there was this fire electricity going up my leg. Scared the heck out of me. It wasn't like if you step on a Lego and you go, with bare feet, that hurts. Uh, I wasn't stepping on anything. I'm sitting in a chair, I don't have a dog or a cat that would have walked by and bit my toe or something. Nothing, nothing. Fire. Oh my gosh, it was so awful. And I thought, oh, that is not right. That's scary. I better go to the doctor. Something's wrong with me. And I went, and sure enough, I had flaming diabetes. And I was at my highest, weight.
ask your
Actually,
doctor about flaming diabetes.
about flaming diabetes. So I had flaming diabetes. And it was funny when I got my appointment and made it to the doctor, it was right before my daughter's wedding. And on my mother's birthday on September 26th of 2020, I called my mom, and we were getting excited for Alexis's
Mhm.
wedding in the middle of October. And I hadn't gone to the doctor yet. And she said, Gina, you need to know when you see your brother, he's lost 60 pounds. I'm like, 60 pounds? How in the world could Mike lose 60 pounds during the pandemic? Everybody else is getting fat. How did he lose weight?
Can I tell my story when we get to this part? We'll put
Yes.
something together here.
Yeah. And now we're gonna shoot over to
Hold
Jeff.
that thought, because we
Yeah.
both go through this
Hi, Jeff.
together.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house of 6 kids. And like I said before, we rode our bikes everywhere. We went to all kinds of places outside. So we got a lot of exercise. And what was interesting also is that with 6 kids in the family, when they're passing around the mashed potatoes, for instance, now not all my brothers and sisters did this the same way that I did. I would look at the mashed potatoes and say, okay, and so there's 5 more people after me. I'll take about, I did the math in my head and figured out, okay, I'll take like that much. I had one of my brothers would go and keep putting it on his plate. But when I would get it, I would just try to do the math and figure out how to take one
Mhm.
sixth of the bowl. And I remember, and we were not rich either growing up, and there were not a lot of. My mom did make cookies where we would have like a cookie after each dinner, but we grew up not having a whole bunch of extra snacks in the house. I remember the snacks I loved the most were carrots and bananas and apples. Um, Grew up skinny all the time, and it wasn't until um, when I went to seminary in Oregon. The first time I really lived out of the state.
He was going to be a Catholic priest.
Yes.
And you can tell he was such a good kid. He was thinking about his brothers and sisters when taking his mashed potatoes.
Mhm.
He's a very kind soul.
So that mashed potato thing's not a commandment for me. But anyway, I remember when we would go through the cafeteria during lunch, it would be like a goulash, and it was like week in review stew. and it was very heavy things and lots of noodles and gravy and stuff like that. And I gained some weight there. And finally, after being in seminary for 2 years, I just made a decision to leave seminary. I came back, and I was a teacher for a year before I went into seminary. I taught first grade. Then when I came out of seminary, I went back into teaching. And when you are chasing around 36-year-olds all day, and you have recess duty, and you have bus duty in the morning, or and stuff like that, you burn a lot of calories. So I never really had to worry about my weight, and I didn't like making my own lunch either. I would have the school lunch, and it was a pitiful little. I mean, it was made. The size of it was made for kids, so
Mhm.
it was kind of small. So I usually did not eat breakfast. I had a little tiny school lunch for dinner, and I was not a cook. Did you know that Jean
No.
is not a cook?
Yeah. I discovered that really quick. I think he wanted to marry me just so he'd have someone who'd make him food.
So anyway, I didn't eat a whole bunch, and I burned a lot of calories all day being an elementary school teacher. And it wasn't until I think that I I changed school district to closer to our house. Um, no, you know what? I was still losing weight then too, because for a while there, I was evaluating teachers. One of my jobs was as a instructional specialist, where we'd go and we'd help teachers out to get better in their classrooms. Well, I was assigned the schools that were nearest me because I rode my bike. I changed
And the
school districts.
reason that he rode his bike, because he is a sweetheart. I taught school for 11 years.
Uh-huh.
And when we had our daughter, who I named Alexis, and that's my middle name. I always liked my middle name a lot more than my first name. And so I knew when I had a little girl one day, I was going to name her Alexis because I always really liked that name. So we had Alexis, and she was wonderful, but she was a
She still
handful. She
is.
still is wonderful. She's 31 now.
Of
She
course.
still is wonderful, but it was a lot of work being a teacher
And
and a
bringing a
mom,
kid to
and
daycare.
being a working mom. And every time I would drop her off at the sitters, she would cry as I peel her off of me, and I would go to work sad. And I was teaching kindergarten at the time, and I'd see these wonderful stay-at-home moms with other babies that would walk their kindergartner to school, pushing a stroller, and give them a hug and a kiss, at the door, and walk away. And I think, oh, I wish I could do that. Someone else has to watch my kid. And when Alexis turned 4, she had a new place that she went to, a new preschool thing, and she loved it. and she was finally happy to go to school, and because she thought it was school, and she was a very smarty pants, so she was going to school, but really it was a preschool daycare kind of thing, and she was finally happy. And I told Jeff, you know what, I'm done. I know we talked about having 2 kids, but I can't do this again. I can't give my baby in my baby in pajamas to a babysitter ever again. I don't want to ever live through that again. We're done. We have 1 child. I'm happy. I'm not doing this again. And Jeff, and I had baby fever the first time. And so I was one like, we need to start having kids now. And every baby I saw, I was like staring at and stuff. And I just like couldn't wait to have a baby. And then he was like, okay. But it was me who really was just hot to have the first one. And but then Jeff had baby fever. We had a really cute nephew, Greg. Oh, he was the cutest baby ever. And Jeff had a dream.
I had a student in my kindergarten class when I was teaching kindergarten in my first in the district that I was in first when we met, whose name was Jacob. And he was the best little guy ever. I mean, he would, be smiley and always did his work and was respectful and kind to the other kids and just weighed in my mind because I had a dream.
On a work night.
On a work night.
And I'm still working.
And
too. On a work night, he has this dream.
And the dream was that we had a little boy, and he was in kindergarten, and his name was Jacob, and he was such the best kid of all the kids in the kindergarten that my principal, even though we were going on a field trip.
His classroom was going on a field trip.
Right. This is all blurring together for me here, Gina. I forgot about the story until you brought it up. We, in my dream, the principal of the school came and said, you know what, your child is so good. We think that you should go on your kindergarten kids field trip with him as a chaperone. You can take the day off and go with the. Okay, the dream didn't make a lot of sense. It was a dream, okay?
It's a dream.
But the principal said, you should go. Your kid is so good.
Yeah, we should substitute.
You be one of the parents on the
field
trip. You take the day off and go with your child on the field trip. And I said, okay. And I woke up and I looked at Gina and I said,
oh, he woke me up. I was sleeping soundly
on a school day.
On a school night.
And I said, Gina, we shall have a kid. We shall have a boy. We shall name him Jacob.
Like that, actually. He woke me and he's like, I gotta tell you about this dream. I gotta tell you about this dream. I'm like, and then he tells me about his dream and he says, if we have a boy, can I name him Jacob? And I said, you can name that kid whatever you want if you let me go back to sleep.
Anyway, so in order to make this work.
And then he had to really work on me to have another kid. And Alexis's godmother took me aside and she said, Gina, you could stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, well, we can't. We'd lose our house. We don't make enough money to stay home. And she said, sure you do. She said, you know what? It says in the Bible. So she said it says
$20,000 a year.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. And she said, it says in the Bible that a baby brings its own bread. If you stay home, God will take care of you. It'll work itself out. And then she looked at our finances because she was really going to help us to figure out how I could be a stay-at-home mom. Because I said, I put my foot down. I'm not giving my baby in diapers to, in pajamas. I'm not giving my baby in pajamas to a babysitter in the morning ever again.
When she looked at her finances, didn't her face become white as a sheet?
Oh, it did. Her husband was an engineer at Intel. And so looking at that compared to an elementary school teacher's salary, and she looked and her face did kind of go, and she was like, oh, this is all you got. And she looked at our finances, but she's like, but it really does say that in the Bible. I think you could do. And so we thought, well, maybe we could do it for 1 year. And so I saved up money for 1 year. And I asked my school to give me a 1-year leave of absence once I had the baby.
So you could stay home.
So I could stay home for a year and then I'd go to work, after that. And
now, was that when I changed school districts?
And you changed school districts.
And in Arizona, at least, if you have taken classes and stuff like that to advance your degree, You know, if you get an extra degree, like a master's degree, they'll pay you for that when you change from one school district to another school district. They have a salary schedule, and they'll put you at that spot on the salary schedule. But they only will pay you for up to 3 years of experience. So even though you may have been working your way up in one school district by having more years of experience there, when you change from one school district to another, at least at that time, they'd only pay you for 3 years. And I had you know what, I must have been making more than $20,000.
No, you were making
I was making $30,000 because then when I changed school districts, I took a $10,000 pay cut.
Yeah, or no, I don't know, because I think
Yes.
at one point you were making 34,000 when I was a stay-at-home.
Whatever it was not a
So it
significant
was not
amount, but I
enough.
do know I took a $10,000 pay cut.
Yeah,
knowing
to
that
change
I'll be
districts.
closer to home. I'll be able to have the same school calendar
As our
as
daughter.
our daughter. So because they don't all match up in Arizona anyway, from one school district to another. And I ended up having the opportunity to teach a bunch of technology classes in my off hours for pay. And it was a great experience, and I earned more money that way. But
Yeah.
one of the
we
things I had to
discovered
do, though,
we could only have one car. So when
Right.
our car broke down again, because we had one car that would break down a lot, we donated it to charity so we wouldn't
I'm
have
not
to
sure it
pay
was
to
a
fix it.
donation.
Yeah. We donated it. They had to tow it. They had to tow it
Yeah.
away. But instead of spending another $700 to fix it, we just had it towed.
I got my bike out of the
tonated,
garage, and I blew up all the tires and cleaned it all off, and so I was like in a year, I was an instructional technology specialist where I would go and visit classrooms. But I had to have the schools that were closest to where we lived because I was riding a bike the whole time. So we had one car. She had it because she was at home with,
And I had to drive the kids things.
and I had a bike that I was riding around for
That was good
4
exercise
or 5
for 'em.
miles, different schools within the area.
So that kept them skinny too.
Right, that kept me. So in other words, I had a lot of experience not eating a lot of food and getting a lot of exercise and getting a lot of movement in, and I was skinny.
Yeah. But he does say where he says he didn't eat a lot of food, that's baloney. In his mind, he
Well,
didn't.
growing up, I didn't.
No, growing up, he didn't.
And
As an adult, he was amazing. He could eat a half gallon of ice cream and a big bag of party-sized Doritos
but the
and not gain
Doritos,
any weight the next day.
but the
It was
Doritos,
crazy how much you could eat, and I couldn't.
they said on the package of Doritos, it said family size, and I would say, challenge accepted.
Yeah, and he could eat it in a sitting and not gain any weight. And when we would go to my family's house for Christmas, my mom used to love having him at the table because she didn't have
She's
to put
a
a lot
great
of.
cook.
My mom's a fabulous cook too. But she would,
She
if there was
wouldn't
a
want to
little
put away
bit of food
leftovers.
left, she'd go, "Here, Jeff, you want a little more?" Plop. And she didn't food push on the rest of us, but she knew she could on him because he was just tall and he was so lean. He was skinny, 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 and he could eat thousands of calories without gaining weight too, because he did. When we used to go on trips, I used to call him Mr. Crunch and Munch. I'd be on Weight Watchers
Driving trips.
on driving trips, and he used to have to eat the entire time he was driving. So we used to like to go up to Williams, which is a 3-hour drive, and he would crunch and munch for 3 straight hours. So I'd have to pack
Sorry.
things like celery and carrot sticks because I'm always on a seafood diet. If I see food, I want to eat it. And so it just drive me crazy, so I'd have to be munching on carrots while he'd be eating chips and stuff. But anyway, he doesn't do that anymore. Thank goodness. As it did catch up with him. Once he hit 50, all of a sudden he gained 100, almost 100
And I think
pounds.
I was in a job finally that didn't involve riding my bike to all these other schools.
Right.
I was making more money, and
we could finally afford that second car.
But right, we had another car then. So I could if I had to go to another school, I would drive the car instead. And I drove a car to work every day. So I slowed down, kept eating, and I got
he put on about 100 pounds. So then we were both. So when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I was crazy overweight, but we had just started a couple of weeks before my diagnosis with because when you call the doctor for a well check, they don't get you in the next day. I mean, it takes a little while to
Mhm.
get in. So I probably had the burning legs in September some point, but it was October 13th when I found out I had type 2 diabetes. But we had just started doing what my brother was doing that helped him lose 60 pounds, and it was the 444 plan.
Right.
You
And
can
what the
explain that.
4-4 plan was and is, at least in our iteration,
I mean, my
is a
brother called it the
the program.
program.
And
We called it the 444.
we changed it up a little bit anyway to fit our lives. But for the three different fours, one four is about 400 calories a meal,
Hmm.
about 4 hours apart.
Hmm.
What's the other four? Four
Um,
meals a day.
you eat 4 times a day,
Yeah.
4 hours
Okay.
apart, 4 hours apart, 400 calories each.
Right.
So it's
Right.
1,600 calories.
And that's kind of
Uh,
even throughout the day because you're only waiting about 4 hours between each meal. And when I was at work, it was hard to make it work exactly, but that wasn't the point. The point
Mhm.
was to get about 1,600 calories in.
and only eating 4 times in a
And
day.
we also adjusted it a little bit as well to make it match some things like Weight Watchers. Do you remember Weight Watchers where well, I don't know
Mhm.
if you were ever on Weight Watchers, but they had
Many times.
okay, you
Yes.
get some foods for free. You get, like if you're going to eat like cauliflower, that isn't you don't have to count any points for that,
And
or
broccoli,
broccoli, or
carrots,
lettuce,
celery,
or something like
lettuce.
that. Low calorie, non-starchy vegetables,
Yeah, and
or
just that
basically
one,
like
not the updated Weight Watchers where
yeah,
they like
Mhm.
the eggs or something. No, when it was just low carb vegetables were free, were your only freebie.
so, but that helped me because I wanted to have some things in between those 4 hours. As a snack, I could eat things, so they just have to be from that list of low calorie, non-starchy vegetables.
What talked Jeff into for sure that he could do my brother's diet is my brother did, he counted every calorie, including carrots or celery. And so he didn't eat hardly any vegetables. But
Because
he
why
said,
would you?
because why would you?
You don't want to
And so he said,
waste
it
your
could be
calories
any
on
400
vegetables.
calories. It doesn't matter what it is. And he said, hey, for my snack at night, you know how many calories is 2 Pop-Tarts? 400 calories. So a lot of times I have 400 calories at night or 2 Pop-Tarts at night. And Jeff's like, Pop-Tarts? I could do the
I
Pop-Tart
could do a
diet, Gina.
Pop-Tart. But anyway, I also wanted to make sure that I didn't decide not to eat any vegetables
So we
because
added the vegetables as
saving those
freebies.
calories for like a terrible for you snack. So we adjusted it a little bit. We did the 1,600 calories, but I'm not counting any of the calories in low fat, non-starchy veggies. Also, one of the things I like to eat is an apple. And I don't want to, at the end of the day, when it's snack time, to have to choose between do I have full fat ice cream or do I have an apple? I know an apple's going to lose every single time. So, in addition to, so it's not exactly 1,600 calories I'm getting. I'm
Because he
getting
gives himself one
1,600
apple
calories, any of the
and the other.
non-starch, low calorie veggies, and an apple a day to keep the doctor away.
Yeah. And he lost it. He lost
72
72
pounds.
pounds at the most. And we have a playlist on our Anchor Moments YouTube channel of the 444 plan and us doing it and recipes we did and things like that.
So I started out at 274 pounds at my highest, lost 72, and I could see 200 pounds in the distance, really close. Oh, I can make it.
Yeah. And then we went on a family vacation. My parents rented one of those big giant houses,
Airbnb kind of things.
Airbnb kind of things in Branson, Missouri,
And they
on
flew
a
us
river,
out,
flew everybody out. So I was there with my nieces and nephews and my
rented the
kids
house.
and their significant others. And so we were all in this big house. And
But
even my
since we
nieces and
flew,
nephews, they were all
college age.
all college age, and they all had hit 21, so they were all legal to drink. It was like living in a
Yeah.
frat house for a week. There was day drinking, there was alcohol everywhere, there was
And
every kind
every
of snack and
every
candy
surface
and
had a
salty
snack on it.
stuff. Oh my gosh,
Which
so much food.
not to be
Oh
mean or anything.
no,
Because it was a fun
Oh
vacation.
my gosh, we had a
but-
blast.
But it was
oh,
very tempting.
oh
It's
yeah.
hard to
And
resist.
you know, when we got there, Jeff was down 72 pounds. He looked so good. He was right almost at his goal weight of what he was shooting for. I was down 47 pounds and I hadn't started Manjaro yet. This is our journey right before
4-4-4
before
plan.
I started Manjaro. And Jeff doesn't have type 2 diabetes and he's never taken to GLP-1. We couldn't afford to put him on it because he wouldn't be able to get it with diabetes and our insurance wouldn't pay. So we just do
Without
him
diabetes.
right without diabetes. So he's dieting the old fashioned way, or just trying to actually not even diet. We're really trying to do a healthy lifestyle. And because I'm eating healthier, it's made a difference for him. But this was right before I did Manjaro, that Manjaro journey. So, but right after I got type 2 diabetes. So this was probably in 2021 sometime.
When they first saw me come
21,
back,
22.
what did they tell you?
When Jeff walked through the door and he'd been down 72 pounds, he actually hadn't started adding his apple yet. And he was doing 1,600 calories.
think I was.
No,
No.
you didn't. No, you didn't. You hadn't added the apple yet because
think I
my
did.
mom freaked out and said that I wasn't feeding you enough and that you were too skinny and that I needed to be feeding you more. And then I think is when you added your apple.
So that was just before we came
but-
into all the food all over
yeah.
the
And the food is
place.
everywhere. And we didn't have a vehicle because
We flew.
And we didn't have a rental car.
But everybody else had cars, so it didn't matter.
Because
We could get
other
a
relatives were able to drive to Branson,
Missouri.
and so they had a vehicle, but we didn't. And so before they went to the grocery store the first time, we all got to say
What special thing you wanted from the grocery store.
from the grocery store. And so some people are like Doritos or whatever, Pop-Tarts or whatever. But for me, I asked for Fairlife milk and broccoli. And
so she could steam it.
And I brought
in the microwave.
my little silicone steamer that could be steamed in the microwave so I could have steamed broccoli, because Jeff and I used to eat a lot of steamed broccoli and it really helped.
What did they say after you steamed
Oh my
broccoli in the
gosh.
microwave the first time?
They got so mad at me. Some of them had been out tubing on the river or doing jet skis or something. I don't know. And we didn't go on with that. And so I steamed some broccoli in the microwave, and they weren't there for the steaming. But when they walked through the door, they were like, "Ooh, farted! Oh my gosh, you scared me! Did you just go outside to fart?" I'm like, "Oh, this is like so bad." And they were like, "We weren't here farting. We ate broccoli." And then they were just so mad that we stunk up the house so much they wouldn't let us steam our broccoli anymore.
And by the way, steamed broccoli tastes really good.
Yeah.
It's
I love it.
Yeah.
Calorie
Yeah.
snack.
And very
Good
filling.
for you too.
So that was it for the steamed broccoli. And that was like the first day. So we knew.
Oh,
we
and then the
couldn't do it.
milk.
Oh, and the milk.
The bottle. What was?
We got like
what was
20 people in the house. They brought 1/2 gallon of Fairlife milk. And they didn't say this is Gina's. It was Fairlife milk. So everybody's using it for their cereal and stuff. So that was it for my milk.
And when we drank some, hey, who drank all the milk?
Oh, I'm like, geez, there was only one bottle, and it was the one I asked for, So there was no safe foods.
We're not mad.
Yeah, we're not mad.
It's funny now to look back on.
But we threw our diet out the window. We're like, how bad could it be? We'll just take a 1-week vacation with it, whatever. We tried to be healthy. We'll just be in Rome and be like everybody else, like all the Romans here.
That was a bad choice.
Oh my gosh. When we got home, we were gone 8 days. We each gained 11 pounds. 11 pounds in 8 days. And we'd been drinking alcohol. We'd been eating all kinds of fat, delicious foods and desserts and all that. Our hunger spiked so high, we couldn't do the 4-4-4 plan anymore. Every time we would try, we'd be able to do it for about a day, being starving. And then the next day we'd be like, "Oh, it's got to be a break day. I can't do this. Maybe we'll do it again tomorrow."
That's right. I didn't mention that part. They're built into the plan also is we call it a break meal.
Yeah, you could
In
have
the
a
original
break
program,
day.
they say a
my
break
brother's
day and you
program,
just eat
but-
whatever you want that day. And that kind of makes,
It was too much of a binge day for
Yeah,
us. We
so
took in too many
we do,
calories on a
like-
break day. So we'd make a break meal that we could have one
you
meal
had a
that
meal at a
wasn't
restaurant or something like that, you just
once a
kind of,
week.
just count it as 400 calories. And I know it was more than that, but I'm not going to
Right,
kick myself and
right. So
be
it had a
ashamed.
once a week
Just-
kind of thing. You
yeah.
could do that. So, but we kept trying to go get back into it. And it was
So,
just too hard. And
I
so
did
we
not-
started gaining our weight back.
I did not gain all of my weight
But
back.
he didn't gain all of his weight
In fact,
back.
I'm still down about 35 pounds from my highest.
Yeah.
And I have started tracking my food. And that was another thing. When you're on this plan, you have to kind of track how many calories that you're eating. And I use MyFitnessPal for my tracking. And also, what's the other way that we adjusted it a little bit?
Oh, our house, I showed on,
All right.
not, I think it was it Sunday? Last Sunday, a week ago Sunday.
I think it was
With your
Saturday.
Or was
refrigerator?
it, oh no, we did
No.
it Saturday. Was Saturday we did the fridge and I surprised you and showed everyone the fridge. Was that just this last Saturday, just a few days
Mhm.
ago?
What's in your
Okay,
fridge?
what's in your fridge? So, because I do also on my Anchor Moments channel, usually on Sundays, but I had to do it on Saturday this week because I was in charge of a charity event on Sunday called Stuff with Love Boutique, and so on. I do a book club, a weight loss book club, and we've done I think 4 or 5 books now. The current book we're doing is Food Intelligence, and we're a book club for busy people, so we only do 1 chapter a week. And the chapter this week was about food environments. So in middle of the video, and we don't pre-plan our videos. So it really is a
I think you planned
spontaneous
this in your head,
conversation.
didn't you?
Uh,
And you didn't want to tell me. You said,
even know-
okay, let's grab the laptop and
we're talking about
here's the
food
little camera
environment.
thing.
Thank you,
Here's
Mayor
Yeah.
Mindy.
drive.
Yeah.
Let's
So
drive
right-
over, open the refrigerator up and see what we have in there.
Yeah. So I just
For
thought,
everybody.
in the middle of our video, because we don't pre-plan it, because if you pre-plan it, then it's
Stilted.
it's not authentic anymore.
Right.
I don't want to read a script at you. I used to be a school teacher. I don't want to just read to you. That's boring. I want to be able to just speak to you just the same way as if you came to my house and we're having a cup of coffee together. And Mayor Mindy gave me this cup. I just love it. But anyway, it's you're all my friends. It's like having my friends over for a cup of coffee and going, how'd your week go? And then just sharing how your week went, and inviting people over for coffee who also are on a healthy lifestyle journey with you,
Oh, I remember. I
So
remember now.
we just do it right off the seat. But I did
Wait a minute,
say
this relates to
for
what
food
what you're going to talk about.
that we
Inside
have
of the fridge.
Yeah.
One of the things we also do when we're tracking, and you track on paper and I track on the app, is we're looking to get a certain amount of protein in every day and a certain amount of fiber in on every day. And I think that the first time I was losing weight, I probably didn't get enough protein. And so it probably did look like I was too skinny,
Yeah, maybe.
But now that I have a goal, in addition to the calories, of getting like
Enough
100
protein so he
100
doesn't
grams
lose
of
muscle.
protein every day and 30 grams of fiber, which helps.
And we live in a safe food environment in our house. And so when we were just talking about food environments, and like I say, we don't pre-plan. I don't know what he thought about the chapter before we go live. He doesn't know what I thought about the chapter. A lot of times we're just finishing reading the chapter before we go live. Because we've had a busy week. So we're not ahead. I don't know what's in the next chapter yet. I haven't started reading it yet. So so we have just barely finished reading it. And it's like, okay, let's go. And we go on live. And so we are flying by the seat of our pants. But it's like, if you go to a real book club meeting and you go to somebody's house, you don't know what they're going to discuss and say about that book, and what one person says is going to make you think about something else and give you another idea to share too. And since ours are lives, people say things in the chat that give us ideas, and we bounce ideas off each other. So it really is book club. It's the only pre-planning is we did read the chapter. We're not there to drink the wine or whatever. We really did read the chapter and we're ready to discuss
our
Listen,
food
so he didn't
environment.
know that I was, but it was in the middle because I didn't plan that.
Mhm.
But we were talking about food environments, and I thought, you know what?
Let's look at our food
Let's look at our
environment.
fridge. And I knew it'd probably freak him out
I'm not embarrassed by
because we
what's in our
didn't
fridge,
clean
though.
our fridge in advance or anything. But it was like, you know what? Let's
I
show
hope
everybody
Gina
our
threw
fridge.
away those romaine lettuce heads that were running.
Running. Actually, I had just thrown those away in the morning. I was thinking that on the way to the refrigerator, like, I'm glad I threw away the slimy
I was
lettuce
going to
we
throw
didn't
those
eat.
out. Sorry.
Yeah. But the rest of it, yeah, it wasn't pre-planned. So what you saw, and it was kind of little messy things were stacked up
But
and toss it
what
we talked
she's,
to each other,
what I think
and
she's
that kind of
getting
thing.
to is that when we go to the grocery store, we're also looking at those goals in mind for getting high protein, enough protein, and also getting enough fiber
Right. And that's what you see in our refrigerator.
and lower calorie.
Hmm. And we
That's
used
great.
to, keep, because we used to keep ice cream in the freezer, but now we don't. Now what I have instead is I make homemade ice cream using high protein materials.
In
And
her
so
Mhm.
Ninja
in my
Creamy.
Ninja with a Ninja Creamy. And so I was able to show that too, open up the drawer and here's some frozen fruits and stuff. And here's my ice cream, but my ice cream is really this frozen container that I'm going to whip up
Mhm.
of
Made
Fairlife
of the
chocolate
high,
milk
yeah.
and PB Fit. Oh, it's so good. The Fairlife chocolate milk with PB Fit together and then blended, oh, it's just
Isn't that
delicious.
pretty much all it is? Besides,
No, I had in the big pint, I had 1 scoop of Vital Protein collagen in there, which also ups the
Mhm.
protein.
does
But
it
I
make
think
it
it
more
makes
kind
it
of
a little
creamy?
thicker.
Okay.
I think it kind of thickens it a little bit, and it gives you a little extra protein.
And we break up 100 calories of walnuts to go on
Sprinkle
top
it on top
afterwards.
after
And
it's blended. Oh, so
we're
good.
not trying to make anybody hungry right now, but you know what?
But it's a
Actually,
healthy ice cream.
it's healthy.
Mhm.
It's high protein,
Yeah, it's got the same
and
kind
it
of calorie and
satisfies you.
nutrients
Mhm.
that you would have for dinner, but it's like a dessert
For
for
snack
dinner.
time.
Yeah, or snack time.
And
So it's
by the
great.
way, I am not giving up my apple to have to decide, oh, do I have an apple tonight for snack or do I have my Ninja Creamy peanut
So he
butter
gets to have both.
chocolate ice cream with
Yeah,
walnuts on top?
yeah,
I'm not giving that up. I'm
right.
having both. And
But
that's okay.
yeah.
Anyway,
And sometimes we have guests on our show too, and we have a van. We have another YouTube channel called Anchor Moments RV. We take anchor moments on the road, and we have different playlists. So if you go to Anchor Moments RV, it looks
Mhm.
like just a regular travel channel. There's some of it is places to go and see. That's kind of fun to RV at and stuff, and places to visit. Some of it's how to tips and tricks for fixing your RV and doing things with it or whatever, and tours of the van, that kind of thing. And then I also have a playlist of anchor moments on the road, which is our true goal. And we get people who share those goosebumpy moments in their life that have anchored their faith. And we have some really, some of
some
them are
miracle stories.
tearjerker miracle stories of people that we have met on the road. And with that, we go traveling, and we've started visiting our guests who show up on our regular Anchor Moments YouTube channel, which looks like a type 2's diabetes channel because it was just Anchor moments in your life that anchor your faith. Did I even put out
So,
I have a book
Lori,
here somewhere.
Mhm.
if you invite us to come visit you in our van, make sure your refrigerator is cleaned up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I saw
Rightly
you
so.
live and I had to clean out my refrigerator right afterwards.
yes, I'm telling you, because when we
North
went and
Carolina?
visited,
No.
visited Mayor Mindy McCamey
Georgia?
in, no, she's in North
I
Carolina.
said that.
Yep. We visited her in North Carolina. We were able to sleep in her driveway because we have the van. So she didn't have to wash sheets for us or have a guest room. We slept in the van, but her husband made us dinner, and we knew we were going to do a YouTube live and together in her kitchen. And her husband is such a fabulous cook. Oh my gosh, the food was just incredible and very healthy. And when we were done eating it, and he's shy, we asked him, "Will you cook for us when we do the live?" And he wasn't sure if he wanted to do that because he is shy, but we talked him into it. And so we went live and in Mindy's kitchen, and I interviewed Mindy because she's lost 100 pounds. So I was really
Mhm.
excited about that. And her husband showed us how to make one of the things that he made us for dinner. And then I just got this wild hair and we're live. And I said, hey, Mindy, what is someone who lost 100 pounds? What do they keep in their fridge? Let's see what's in your fridge. And we opened up the refrigerator.
It was
Mindy wasn't ready for that. She was like, oh, I don't know if it's clean or anything. It's like, it's okay. What are you eating? And we opened it up. It was the most amazing refrigerator in the world. For all people to be the first refrigerator that we
she
surprised
set
and
a high
opened it up.
bar.
Oh, a very high bar. Oh my gosh, there is no junk food in there. She had lean chicken, and she had lean meats ready to be cooked. She had so many fresh vegetables, and her husband had pre-cooked some things that they put in little containers so that way she could take them to work, and she'd have these,
Mhm.
all planned out. I mean, it was the most amazing refrigerator I ever saw. And they had maybe 100 bottles of hot sauces. I thought it was just so funny. They had all these hot sauces and super fun flavors and stuff in the door of her fridge. But it was kind of fun to see. And so I thought that could be a new segment that we could do. We could have a playlist called What's in Your Fridge? So
There you go.
I warned Grant Campbell, who's been on a bunch of our shows too. Uh, he has a home in West Virginia and he's invited us to his house. So we're going to be seeing him sometime this spring and we're going to do a live in his kitchen. So he's gotten a little heads up, but he's like, yeah, he at least gets a warning, but you better have your fridge cleaned, Grant, because she'll open it and show the world. But now we're even because I did surprise Jeff and we had a surprise inspection of our
Yep.
refrigerator too. But it's kind of
So,
neat
so
to see, you know.
tell me a little bit about your diabetes and when you started. Was it Manjaro?
Yeah. So for Manjaro, the way that started is my doctor told me when Manjaro first came out, he was really excited about it. And I had been on metformin and I hadn't taken any other medications yet. He had told me about Ozempic, but when I checked, it was going to be with my insurance, it was going to be $900 a month. And we just do not have that kind. We
Mhm.
do not have that kind of money. And so I couldn't do it. So I just kept with the metformin, trying to do the 444 plan, but I was gaining my weight back. Because after that 11 pounds, well, it didn't stop there. I slowly started gaining more and more and more and more until I didn't gain all of the 47 back, but I was up to I think 39 of the 47 pounds I'd gained back. And I was getting scared, and my A1C started going back up again. And uh, my doctor told me about Manjaro when Manjaro first came out. And so and there was no commercials for Manjaro yet. And he said,
Mhm.
Gina, there are studies, people with type 2 diabetes have lost 50 pounds on this. I think it'd be really good for you. And he wrote it on a little piece of paper and he handed it to me and he said, see if your insurance will cover that. But I would love to get you started on Manjaro. Well, I went home and like I say, no commercials or anything about Manjaro. And we checked with my insurance. $1,300 a month it would have cost me for Manjaro. I couldn't do it. So I didn't. And then uh in November of 2023, we discovered that Jeff had bladder cancer and he had to have bladder cancer surgery. And he had bladder cancer surgery, I think like the end of November, and that cancer surgery did not work. But our surgeon talked to another surgeon that day. We
Happened
really
to be
lucked
both in
out
the hospital at the same
at the
time.
same
And
time.
this
And
was a
she was
blessing,
able,
Gina,
it was a blessing.
because if they had been able to get the cancer out that first surgery, there's more recurrence of that from that procedure than there was from the one I finally had
Yeah.
of
It
getting
was the
cancer
kind
again.
where they can
And a
go through
lasso
your
it
plumbing down low
and scrape it and
and
stuff.
Mhm.
scrape it, kind of pull it out, and then pull it out through your plumbing. Uh, but that didn't work. His cancer was just too big and was in a weird
Bad
spot,
spot.
in a bad spot, and she couldn't
And
reach it
so
and
this other
scrape it.
doctor happened to be in the hospital doing surgery in the same day, and she talked to
To him,
him.
and he was a robotic
Right,
surgery,
right.
using the
Mhm.
robotics and then actually remove part of your bladder where the
And he
where the cancer is, just cut part of your
talking to
bladder and sew
him,
it back up.
he was able to move stuff around and get me in. And
Yeah. So he had his second surgery, which was successful on January 3rd of 24. And when he had his successful cancer surgery, he had two surgeries, within a couple of months of each other. We had a lot of doctor bills, and bills were just flying in. And it was hard to figure out if insurance already paid part of this. What are we supposed to pay? Is this what we're really owe right now? And then there's just more and more and more keep flying through. And so we went to someone who helps you figure out which doctor bills you're supposed to pay and if you've met your deductible or not.
Mhm.
And it was someone hired through the school district. And so her name was Sarah. And so when we
Sorry.
had Sarah look at his doctor bills to figure things out, I asked Sarah, "Hey Sarah, can you check for me and see if our insurance covers Manjaro yet? Because I'd really like to start taking it, but I can't afford $1,300." Well, she checked, and all of a sudden, my insurance covered it. And so I took my very first Manjaro shot on January 27th of 2024.
but wait, before you go any further, this just goes to show you that even if it's not covered now under your insurance, to check again and
Because we had
keep
the same
checking.
insurance.
We
We didn't change insurance
but their
companies.
formulary changed.
Mhm. And the rules, right. And so their rules changed, and then they accepted it. And it was a big difference because it was only going to cost me $70 a month, which is a big difference from 1,400. And
Mhm.
then when you put and then that I don't even pay the 70 because if you go to Eli Lilly's website, you can then get a coupon. And so I get the coupon on top of my 70 a month. And so I only pay $25 a month currently on coupon. My insurance is going to change again in January to a different company, so we'll see.
Do you want
But
to mention about Costco?
and we get our we pick up our meds at Costco.
And I hear, or at least we heard, when there was a shortage, some of the places were having trouble getting
Right. So
different
it's been a
dosages
journey because that
of
was back when
Manjaro in.
Mhm.
But
places it was
Costco's
hard to
always
get your
gotten
Manjaro.
yours.
Yeah. The Costco in Arizona was really on top of it. And
So
I've
maybe there's
never
no
had to
trouble
wait,
now, but if there is
more than a
trouble
few
with,
days to get my prescription.
yeah, so if there's no more shortages, maybe you don't have to worry. But if there are, I suggest checking Costco too.
Yeah. If you have a
If you're a
Costco
member.
in your area. But Costco was really good to me.
And if you're not, it might be worth it. We're not
We're not
selling people
sponsored
on
by
Costco. They don't
Costco.
give us
We
any
just
money.
it's one of our favorite
But it
stores.
just worked out well for you to be
Yeah.
able to get your medicine even during the shortages.
Yep. Yep. And so so I took my first shot, and and I'm deathly afraid of needles. The thought of putting a needle in my stomach scared me big time. And Jeff, so on January 27th, Jeff had his surgery January 3rd. He still had a catheter in at home. And he's trying to heal from this major cancer surgery. And I have my Manjaro pen, and I am in the bathroom, and I had been in the bathroom for over an hour trying to get the nerve to give myself my first shot in my stomach. And I am just so scared. And then finally, I think, okay, I think I can do this. And then I yell at Jeff, "Jeff, come here. I want you to videotape me giving me myself my first shot." Jeff's sitting in a chair with his catheter in, and he's like, "Oh, Gina, can
And
I do it some other time?
she said,
Like another week?"
there's only one first time.
I said, "Yep, there's only one first time." And I said, "And you know what, Jeff? If I am this scared, there's no way I'm that unique. There's got to be other
Mhm.
people in the world who are also scared to give, it's hard to thought of giving yourself a shot anywhere, but to give yourself a shot in the stomach. And if you look at the shot's this big. Not the needle's
pen.
not that big. I mean, do I have it over here? We already
right
threw it
here.
away. It's this big. If you've never given yourself a shot before, it's this big. It's huge. It's
But what's the
huge.
needle?
I
Like
mean, you
this?
look at, but you don't know.
You
You don't
don't
know
know.
how big it's going to be when you pull
Oh
off the
my God.
bottom because it's got a little protector thing. It's this big. It's fat. Look how fat that thing is. It's freaking scary. And if It's Darium is watching this right now, I saw his interview on Round Mound of Zepbound. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, he is my brother from another mother. I'm telling you. And he waited like a couple of weeks before he gave it to himself, but it took me a couple of hours. But by the time, Jeff got in there with figured out his catheter thing and how he was going to balance the camera and get all ready, I gave myself my first shot. And it was such a nice surprise. You can't even feel it. It doesn't hurt at all. And video, that video I have, I don't know. I think there's over 40,000 people have seen that video and people from all over the world. I've had people from India, I mean, everywhere, and people from the UK, as well as people in the United States, Australia. A lot of people have written to me and they've said, I've had my Manjaro in the refrigerator for a month now or something, but I've been too afraid to give myself a shot. And I saw your video and I decided after, and sometimes they watch my video more than once and they'll play it and give themselves their shot at the same time as I'm giving myself my first shot. And they're all so relieved when it's over that I told the truth. It didn't hurt. You think it's going to hurt. And you can see that I have real fear in my face because it's my first time. And I don't have to have fear anymore. You don't have fear on your second time because the first time, it's such a relief to know that even though that pen is gigantuan, the needle is super skinny. It's super skinny and tiny, and you don't have that many nerve cells on your stomach area. It's not like your finger. If you have type 2 diabetes and you have to prick your finger to
That
test
hurts
your blood,
more.
it hurts. It hurts every time. Every time it hurts. Every time it makes me jump a little bit. I hate pricking my finger. But to give myself a shot in the stomach, it's nothing.
Now,
It's nothing.
what about the continuous glucose monitor, the freestyle?
Oh yeah, and that's the other video that I have that probably has over 50,000 views. Is I took a type 2 diabetes class. My doctor, they don't really have enough time to go through all the nutritional advice and stuff generally, but and my diabetes was flaming with my 10.2 A1C. My doctor, that very first day that he told me I had diabetes, he said there is a 6-week program at the hospital for type 2 diabetics run by 2 registered dietitians. Gina, your insurance covers it and you need to go. Here's the phone number, sign up. And I did. And
Is that a good choice?
oh, it was a fabulous choice. It was so helpful. And then the dietitians there talked to me about glucose monitors and said I should really be on a glucose monitor. And I was telling them how I hated pricking my finger. And they wanted me to prick my finger before and after every meal, like before the meal, and like 2 hours later, and a bunch of them like multiple times a day. You want me to prick my finger? Oh, no, I'm like, it's a big deal when I do it once a day, and then I'm supposed to message it to my doctor on a portal. He wanted me to message him each day of what my blood sugar was first thing in the morning because he was really worried about me with the 10.2. And it was a big deal to do it once a day. I hated it. And they wanted me to do it multiple times. And I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. They're like, there's another thing you can do. And then they told me about the Freestyle Libre. And so my doctor prescribed that for me.
Were you scared to put that one
Oh
on?
my gosh. The needle on that you can see is looks bigger and it's scary and it's this big honking
thicker.
thing.
Is it thicker?
Yeah, I think it's a little thicker. I don't know. It
Huh.
freaked me out too. So my first time putting that on, I had Jeff video it
There's only one first
because
time.
there's only one first time. And you know what? It's strange. It doesn't really hurt either. It tingles. There is a tingle. You feel like a little tingly thing afterwards. And you got this thing taped to you. So even, the being taped on and stuff. So there is like a little tingle when you put it on, but that's it. It's not pain. When you prick your finger, there's pain. There's a little bit of pain each time. You got a lot of nerve endings on your fingers. But on the back of your arm, not that bad. So it's really not that bad at all. Yeah, and those are my 2 videos that really have taken off. And that brings people to my channel. And then some of them like me enough that they'll hang around and watch more videos and become a shipmate.
Have you ever done the Manjaro in your arm?
Huh?
Have you ever done the Manjaro in your arm or your leg?
Yes. So the first time that I did it in my arm, it was hard to figure out how I was going to get that onto. So that first time, I also had Jeff videotape because there's only one first time of doing your arm, and uh, and that turned out fine. One person was really worried about me and you put it in the wrong place. You're not supposed to put it on that part of your arm. They wanted me to put it this way, like you would like a nurse would give you a flu shot,
Hmm.
like this. And I do it right here because this is where I have a lot of fat on my arms. This is where my fat is. I got fat here. I got some muscle here because I also have muscly arms. My arms, and I know that they're muscly because we just got
Hume
a Hume
body
body
Hmm.
pod
scale.
Hmm.
scale, that you hold with your hands and the electricity goes through you. And yeah, my arms, it says I have high muscles in my arms. Yay.
One of my subs gave me a hint for that if you put a pillow underneath your arm, it brings
Uh-huh.
your fat up, and then you could just go
Oh.
straight into it that
Oh
way.
yeah, because that would do that too. But I still have
Mhm.
so much fat. But it did concern me when a viewer thought I was doing it wrong, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've already got like 20,000 views on this. I better make sure I am doing it right and I'm not leading people wrong. So I
Mhm.
went to you can. It's hard to always see your doctor because they're busy, and we get it.
Mhm.
They're super busy.
Here's a
But
good
you can.
hint.
This is a really good hint for all of your viewers. You can go to any pharmacist
Even
and
not the ones you use.
not even, yeah, it doesn't even have to be the one that you get your Manjaro from. And you can go to where it says consult, because there's usually where you
Mhm.
drop off your prescription, there's where you pick up your prescription, and then they have this other window that's called consult. You can go up to that consult window and you can talk to a pharmacist. And guess what? They're they went to college to be a pharmacist. They had to take really hard chemistry classes and stuff.
Mhm.
They're smarty pantses
And
back
they can
there.
look up interactions between things.
Yeah. And if they don't know the answer, they got a computer right there and they know what to ask the computer to find out if all of your medications, if there's one medication that would bother another medication, if something over the counter you want to take, even like a supplement or something, because some supplements don't go good with some of your current
Mhm.
medications. Even though you can buy it over the counter, doesn't mean you should take it. It might bother you. So you can go up and you can talk to them and they'll give you expert advice and you don't need an appointment.
Wait,
You
how
just
much do they
go.
charge you?
Free advice. So, but I went to the Costco one where I actually get my Manjaros and
And she knows the
pens,
people
and
there.
I know the people, they know me there, and they know that I talk about them, and I have a YouTube channel too. They're really friendly with me. And I go to I went to the window and I said, all right, I did a video on how to give my shot in the arm. And I have a lot of fat down here. So I go like this and I put my shot. I do it like this. And then I push the button,
Not through her clothes.
not through my clothes,
Right.
with my arm bare, like this. Is it okay to do it right here? And she told me, absolutely. The big thing is it's got to be in your fat. You do it in the fat of your upper arm. And if that's where your fat's at, that's where you do it. Because the idea is getting it in the fat. And then
Not in the
she
muscle.
said, not in the muscle. And she said, also, she said, eventually you're going to lose so much weight, you might not have enough fat on your arms. Then you're going to want to do it, either on your leg or on your belly. You need to do it wherever your fat is, on the fat on your stomach, on your leg, upper leg, or on your arm. And some people are built differently. Some people don't have any fat on their arms and legs, but they're apple shaped and all their fat is in their belly.
Mhm.
Then they just need to rotate. So you're not always giving it in the same spot, but rotate like a clock. And so, maybe in January you do it at 1 o'clock, or no,
Wait,
the
you're
first week
talking
of
about
January,
2
1
inches
o'clock,
away
second,
from your
2
belly button,
o'clock, 3 o'clock. Yeah.
like a clock,
Right. And always 2 inches
not a
away
digital
from your
clock.
belly button. And that's because you have some fibrous tissue from your belly button, and there's some
Mhm.
fibrous tissue that's within that 2 inches. So you want to get outside of that 2 inches to hit the fat around your tummy. So, and some people carry most of their fat in their arms and legs. So then maybe the tummy wouldn't be the best place, it'd be your arm or your leg. You just want to get it in your fat. And it's been wonderful. My only side effect is constipation, but I've
Mhm.
always battled constipation. As a kid, I didn't know that people pooped every day, and I never did. And when I was in high school, my boyfriend wasn't going to go to the movies yet or something with me because he needed to go to the bathroom and poop. And when he was done, he said something about pooping every day. And I said, "You don't poop every day. You're lying." And he's like, "Yeah, I do. Don't you poop every day?" "No, nobody poops every day." And I thought he was pulling my leg. And my mom was there because he had pooped at my house, I guess. And my mom
Mhm.
was there. And so he said, "Ask your mom." My mom's a nurse. And so I went to my mom and I said, "My boyfriend's teasing me. He says he poops every day. He's lying." And my mom looked at me and she said, "You mean you don't poop every day, Gina?" And I'm like, and she said, "I poop every day." And I said, "No, you don't, mom." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. You guys are both pulling me up," because they used to tease me about being gullible. And I'm like, "You guys stop it. You guys don't poop every day." And they're like, "Yeah, we do." And then my mom was real serious. She's like, "Well, how often do you poop?" And I'm like, "Once a week, sometimes twice." I've been constipated my whole life. My whole life, I pooped once or twice a week. I didn't poop every day. And I think part of it, I never wanted to poop at school. So there's 5 days, that I'm not pooping. So I'm only
Mhm.
going to poop on the weekend. And, and so I'd poop once or twice a week. And
Wait,
that's
let's talk
it.
about something embarrassing.
Yeah, should we talk about something embarrassing? Yes, I've always been that way. So of course I'm Manjaro. That's going to be my side effect. Is makes me not as regular, but that's okay. I stay ahead of it, and I stay ahead of it by making sure I have to drink plenty of water, making sure that I'm eating plenty of fruits and at least 4 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, getting at least 20 grams of fiber every day, and when I at the
You know
end
what's good
of
for that? Apples.
apples are really good for that too.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And in May of 2024, I ended up needing a hysterectomy. And and my other little advice that I give people too, and I have a playlist of it now uh,
Wait, this is
about
important advice.
hysterectomies, and this could save somebody's life. I actually did save one viewer's life from this, and she reached out to me to let me know. Miss Claudia, I love her to pieces. But after you have 12 months of no periods and you're of menopausal age, you're not pregnant, you're in the age of having menopause. Once you complete 12 months of no periods, then menopause is over. Menopause is that 12 months that your period stopped. Before that is called premenopause, and after that is called postmenopause. So, on your 13th month of not having any periods, you are postmenopausal. If you have even one drop of blood at 13 months and after, that's called postmenopausal bleeding. And that could be a sign that you have cancer. You might not have cancer. It could be something else, possibly, but you must be seen and you do not wait. Don't wait and think, "Oh, it just happened one day. I'm not going to see my doctor unless it keeps happening." No, because if you have cancer, you're giving your cancer a chance to grow. So the second you have one dot, you need to call your doctor's office and make an appointment and be seen. Now, I did not know this. Women do not talk about their periods when they're done having babies and are not in the baby stage anymore.
Neither do men.
And we don't often talk about our periods anyway. But we're definitely not going to talk about it once we're done. We're done. We might talk about hot flashes. We might talk about night
Mhm.
sweats, but we don't talk about bleeding. We don't. But we need to know, and we need to mention it so that way we can help our sisters out there, because one drop of blood at 13 months of no periods You got to be seen.
Absolutely.
Now, I did not know this. Nobody told me this. And Jeff's cancer saved my life because uh, the only reason I talked to my mom about it is I was on the phone with my mom. And oh, wait, you know what? My first Manjaro shot was January 10th. I'm sorry. I took my very first Manjaro shot on January 10th. Jeff's surgery was January 3rd. January 27th was an important day. That was the day I had my first drop of blood. Because my last period, I was my 13th month without a period. And I remembered very well because I do this thing called the Stuff with Love Boutique, and I've been doing it for 17 years. And we did it this last Sunday, and I talked about that last night on my Manjaro Monday Live about the Stuff with Love Boutique. Well, my last period of right before going through menopause was at the Stuff with Love Boutique the year prior. So that's how I knew that was my last one. And I had gone like 4 or 5 months without a period, but then during the Stuff with Love Boutique, I got a period again. And so then I had to restart counting to get my 12 months without a period. And so I very much remembered it. So I called my mom on January 27th of 2024, my 13th month without a period. And I told my Mom, gosh darn it, I was under so much stress with Jeff's bladder cancer surgery that I had just completed menopause. I was so excited in December that I'd made my 12 months and I was done. And I started my period today. Dang it. And so now I got to start over again, with my menopause year. And my mom went, Gina, you have postmenopausal bleeding. You got to see the doctor right away. And I was like, what? Postmenopausal bleeding? I'd never heard of that before. Sure enough, I had precancerous cells. And also once you hit 50, if you've never had cancer before and you don't have, I don't know, is it the HPV virus or something like that? And you don't ever have, if you've never had that, uh, they say, you don't need to have a pap smear every year. Once you hit your 50s, you can do it like every 3 years, 3 or 4 years if you want to. Well, I hadn't had a pap smear in 3 years. And so I had to have a pap smear, and those cells came back goofy. And I had to have an ultrasound, and my uterus was too thick. And I ended up having 3 different periods each month. I had 3 periods before they got me in for my hysterectomy. But I had a complete hysterectomy in May of 24. And I couldn't do it with my regular gynecologist. She had to send me to an oncology gynecologist because she said everything that they had tested was precancerous, but it was possible there was still cancer in there, and you want an oncologist gynecologist to deal with that.
Hmm.
So I had a real cancer doctor pull out. I had to get rid of my cervix because that had precancerous cells, and so did my uterus. And then I just had him throw out my ovaries because that was free. There was no additional charge to get rid of your ovaries. And so I thought, well, then I don't have to worry about ever having ovarian cancer. And if it was free, just yank those out too. They said you don't need those anymore. So I had everything yanked out. But the doctor told me 2 weeks afterwards when I went in for my check, he said, Gina, you are so very lucky. You had a lot of precancerous cells, and there's different levels of precancerous cells too, just like there's different levels of cancer. And mine was the really bad precancerous, where he said, if I would have waited a year, I would have had full blown cancer. If I wouldn't have called my mom, I was only calling to tell her about him.
So I saved your life,
He
basically.
saved my life because I would have just started counting over again. And I would have thought, all right, January, all right. And then I had a period in February again. Oh man, I got to keep waiting till this period ends so I can start counting down my 12 months. And I wouldn't have seen a doctor about it. I wouldn't have thought of it. And then I would have had full blown cancer. And when I talked about it on January 27th on my Manjaro Monday Live, after I talked to my mom, I wanted all my friends to know about this. And it was funny. I told the guys, I said, okay, guys, put your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 la. But I got to talk about bleeding here for a minute. And,
No, wait a
and
minute.
Claudia was listening.
I'm going to interrupt here because the way that we found out that I had bladder cancer was that I bled when I peed. And don't ignore
Manchuria.
that.
And he didn't tell me. He didn't tell his doctor. He didn't tell anybody. He went to the doctor on the internet and just looked up stuff. And it said it could be because you exercise too much. Well, that can make you bleed a little bit. And he'd been working in the yard.
Big time.
Yeah. But he knew it was weird enough to take a picture of it because he did take a picture of the toilet. And you're like, that's like there's Kool-Aid in there. But he didn't tell me and he didn't tell his doctor. But he did take a
Because
picture.
those things are embarrassing, right?
Mhm.
Don't be so embarrassed that you don't mention this either, whether you have postmenopausal bleeding
Mhm.
or bleeding when you pee, if you're
As a
probably a
guy.
guy or a woman. I don't
Woman
know.
afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Peeing when you bleed is not a good sign.
And women
Talk to
can
your
get
No.
bladder
doctors.
cancer as well.
Yeah.
Women can
So
get bladder cancer
sorry to
as
interrupt your
well.
story, but you know what?
Mhm.
This is important to save somebody's
Right,
life.
right. And as a
Absolutely.
woman with postmenopausal bleeding, it might not be your uterus bleeding. It might be your bladder bleeding, and you might have bladder cancer. One of my girlfriends had bladder cancer and had to have her bladder removed because it was pretty serious. But she's alive now, and she's doing great. So she is saved because she went to her doctor.
You were talking about Claudia, I think.
Yeah. So Claudia, it was someone who'd been watching my channel before I had diabetes because she liked hearing the stories about moments in life that anchor your faith. And she reached out to me. And the day before I talked about it, she's like was like 61 or something and hadn't had a period in a long time. And she had just a little teeny weeny light pink dot on her toilet paper. And she remembered looking at the light going, what the heck is that? And thought, well, maybe my toilet paper was just dirty, because she wasn't sure if it was blood. It was just this weird little light pink dot. And then she didn't think about it and she just flushed it and went about her day. And then the next day she listened to my video about postmenopausal bleeding and went, I haven't been to the doctor for a while. Maybe I should see my doctor. And she saw her gynecologist, and her gynecologist says, you know what? Let's do a pap smear. And then after she did the pap smear, she said, would you be okay if I did a punch biopsy today? Because really, you don't even want any kind of bleeding. And even if it was teeny tiny, it would really help us to know for sure. And she said, okay.
Mhm.
So she did a punch biopsy that day. And within a couple of days, her doctor called her back and said, I am so sorry, Claudia, but you have stage 1 uterine cancer. We need to do a hysterectomy right away. She had her hysterectomy on Valentine's Day. January 27th is when I did that live. And within, a couple weeks after that, she had a
Wow.
hysterectomy and it saved her life because she wouldn't have gone to the doctor right away. She wouldn't have thought anything of it. She would have had to wait till she had much more heavier bleeding, and then her cancer just would have grown. So that's why I talk about embarrassing things on YouTube. I'll talk about my poop. We'll talk about weird bleeding and stuff, but you never know. You might save somebody. You might save somebody's life.
Absolutely. Thank God you did.
Yeah. And so it's been a hundred shots of Manjaro. Oh, and the reason that also was important is also 2 weeks after my hysterectomy, and I was talking to my oncology gynecologist. I told him, I said, you know what I'm the most bummed about? He said, what? And I said that I'm going to have to stop taking Miralax and stool softener because I was taking one Colace tablet and one
Mhm.
shot of Miralax every day because you can't strain to poop after you've had hysterectomy. You can't strain at all. You've got, you got all that stitches and stuff. So I needed my poop to just slide out of me without any pushing. And be able to hold it to get to the restroom, but once I get to the restroom, just relax and let it fly out. So I was doing that, and I said, it's just been so nice, to be able to poop every day so easily, and so it'll be a bummer that I'm gonna have to stop taking that. And he said, well, Gina, you can keep taking Miralax. You could take Miralax with, the medication you're currently taking. It wouldn't bother you, and you could take it every day for the rest of your life and it's not going to hurt you. And I was like, really? I could take it every day? And he said, sure. And then I backed that up. The next time I saw my primary care doctor, I asked him, and I stopped the Colace because I didn't need the twofer, I didn't need loose stools anymore. I just needed to make sure, to poop. And he said, yeah, if it's helping you, Gina, that's fine. You could have a dose of Miralax every day, and it'd be fine. Now, I don't do it every day, but I do it most days. I do it every week, for sure. So at least every
Mhm.
other day, I have either a half a dose or a dose of Miralax just to keep everything soft so I don't have it any real problems with it. Because I could, as someone who normally could poop once or twice a week with
Now,
Manjaro.
are you guys still doing the 4-4-4 plan,
I
or
brought it
have you
back up
changed it?
again,
Yeah.
yeah. And since Thanksgiving, I've lost like 3 pounds, so I'm happy.
Mhm.
And losing slow, but it's progress in the right direction.
Yeah. So that's what Jeff's doing. For me, I'm not
We're
totally
also
following the
doing,
4-4-4.
we added in strength training at
Yes.
Planet
Mhm.
Fitness.
Yeah. And we started that October 1st. And so we've been strength training all of October, all of November, and now into December. 3 days a week where we do everything, upper and lower.
The more muscles that you
Mhm.
build, they're like a little factory that needs to be fed. So they use up,
Absolutely.
having muscles just burns calories. What better incentive is there than that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're doing that. I don't Manjaro helps me. So I don't have the food noise all the time and stuff. Jeff still does because he still has food noise because he's not, but he doesn't um so it works for him to plan out 4 meals a day and to have space between it and not snack in between those four
No,
meals.
what saves me is being able to snack on those freebie foods. Like I
Right.
cut up
Vegetables,
red cabbage and
carrot slices,
carrots. Yeah,
and
So
anyway,
bell
Jeff,
pepper
have
strips.
bell pepper
you
strips.
considered Zepbound now that they're lowering the prices and
I don't think so
supposing?
because it'll still be prohibitively expensive in that I don't have type 2 diabetes. I think it'll still be hundreds of dollars a month for
And
me.
he's really not that bad. Weight wise,
Yeah,
he's
and
really pretty close to what he should be anyway. He's not, I don't think he's even under obesity anymore. I think his BMI is just more, he's just more overweight but not obese.
I think I'm still obese.
Are you?
Yeah.
Maybe just barely. He's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good.
But I have confidence. If I end up having trouble and I just can't take the weight off, then
Yeah, then we
we
would.
can look into it.
We would
We're
look
starting
into
new
it.
insurance, so we'll have to
We have
check
to
and see how
see,
that works
yeah,
anyway.
see how that
Yeah.
works out.
Plus, in a few months, the orforglipron will be coming out, and they're talking about starting that at like $99 a month without insurance, which is a little bit
Really?
more affordable. And it's
Wow.
oral, no shots.
That's one where you take it every day?
Every day, you take a pill every day, no refrigeration. They say somewhere between March and June it's supposed to come out, depending
Oh,
on how
that's soon.
quickly it goes through the FDA. Yeah, it's going through the FDA right now.
Okay.
I think what I'd like to do is see how people try it out and see how it goes for them before I make any decisions, since it's new. I'm just a
Well,
little,
it's not even out yet, other
Right.
than on the
I
gray
mean, once
market,
it's
which
out,
I
yeah,
do not advocate at all on anything on the gray market, but you know,
right.
yeah.
No,
We don't either.
right. And if
Mm-mm.
you see it anywhere advertised,
Yeah,
you know it's not real. So
mhm.
right.
don't
And
buy
it's
it. Yeah.
if you're watching on a replay a year from now or whatever.
This
This
is
is December of 2025. Retatrutide is not FDA approved.
No,
If you are not part
you
of the
see Facebook
studies
ad or
of
you see
retatrutide,
yeah
you
no.
or
that's
YouTube
gray
ad.
market stuff. They can put any crap in there and sell it to you, and you don't even know what you're taking, and that's
Uh,
dangerous.
Yes, it says right on the label, not for human use.
Hmm. Yeah. So please don't do that. Wait until it's FDA approved and you can really get it at a pharmacy and you have a doctor who's taking your vitals and watching how you're doing on it. That's the way to take these medications.
And even still though, once it does come out, I'd kind of like to wait a little bit to see how it's tolerated by people. I don't know if you remember back in the day of fen
Mhm.
when
Hmm.
people took that off label and then people noticed that, oh, your heart valve is messed up or some. I think that's what the problem
Yeah, and they
was.
eventually had to take it off the
Right.
market.
So I'm just a little cautious that way.
He is cautious. When fen came out, my mom was a nurse practitioner, and And the doctor that she worked for was able to prescribe it for her or whatever. And she did it for a while and she'd lost 20 pounds, but then she maintained and she couldn't lose more than the 20, but she had about 20 on it. And then all of a sudden it went
Some
off the
people-
market because people had a problem. And I remember she had mentioned that she could help me get it, or I could look into doing it and we could do it together. And Jeff put his foot down and he said, no, I'd rather have a fat, healthy wife than have to worry that what if this drug does something wrong? And I'm like, well, it's approved. And Jeff was like, it hasn't been out for very long. Let's see. And he was right. And
I'm not always
he
right.
never, I know, but he never would let me forget that. So when there were any other, diet medications would come out, he'd be like, I don't know. And he was always just so loving of me. He never bullied me for being overweight or anything. He's always been just a very loving husband. I've been very, very blessed
Yeah, that's
with
great.
that.
When I
But
get
when I
new
had type 2
medication-
diabetes, though, and this was going really well, and a type 2 diabetes med, he didn't give me any trouble when I wanted to take Manjaro when we finally could afford it.
When we get a new medication, what do I do first?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we have medications that the doctor has said, you can take this or whatever. And then we always fill it. We go to Costco, we pay for it, we get it home. And then when you have to read all the side effects,
Mhm.
we have so many medications he's never taken before that that he picked up that his doctor asked him to take. They're like, and no. Yeah.
It's like the commercials where you hear the 45 minutes of, oh, here are the possible side effects. Death.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So it'll be a while before there'd be something that Jeff would.
I'm going to wait.
He's probably gonna wait.
My favorite is when they
I'll be
tell you
most
not.
concerned- I'm sorry.
My favorite is when they tell you not to take it if you're allergic to it. Well, how do you know if you're
How
allergic
do
to
you
it if you
know?
haven't taken it?
Yeah,
One of the things
exactly.
that I'm a little concerned about it is if you're taking a pill every day, whatever pills that you're taking, your liver, because it goes through your whole system, through your stomach and all, your liver has to clean that excess out of your system. And so some pills
Can be
you
hard
take
on
can be
your
hard on
liver.
your liver. I like my liver.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
stand and deliver.
And that's one of the things that I like about Manjaro is that that I'm not taking it by mouth. My liver doesn't have to have any strain or anything because I am taking it as a shot. And now that I know that the shot doesn't hurt, because remember I'm afraid of needles, but I'm not afraid of that needle anymore. It doesn't hurt. It's like nothing. It's like tickling me, putting a little feather on me for a split second. There's no pain, and I don't have to worry about that. I also, after removing my ovaries with everything, my hot flashes and night sweats were always bad for 5 years. But then it was just, I don't know, it was just awful. And I started taking hormone replacement therapy. So I wear an estradiol patch, and I also use just a teeny weeny bit of testosterone gel as well. And but it's all on my skin, so I'm not taking it as a pill, and so it isn't going to bother my liver either. And and I had stage 1 fatty liver disease a year before I took Manjaro. And after being on Manjaro for 8 months, I had my liver scanned again with an ultrasound of my liver, and it was perfect. All that fat disappeared and melted off since I've been on Manjaro. So it has saved me from that. My A1C is 5.4, which is in
Awesome.
the green zone, and it's never been in the green zone before. And so Manjaro helped my A1C go down. I do take 10 milligrams of Rubistatin. And before I started doing that, my cholesterol was 255, my total cholesterol. But my total cholesterol at the last doctor's visit was 142, and that's total. So
Awesome.
that's
great.
great. So my health is just so much better. My knees used to ache and hurt, and it was hard for me to walk up and down stairs. Now I can run up and down stairs. My knees are so much better.
Here,
so there's
think
a
of this.
lot of advantages for me to being on Manjaro. It's been very helpful.
She lost
Mhm.
55 pounds?
I'm 58 pounds
Okay.
from my highest weight and 50 pounds off since doing Manjaro
Do you know
since my first shot.
how many bowling balls that is to carry around?
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
4 bowling balls carrying those around.
4 or 5, depends
Depending on how much
how
bowling
heavy
balls
your
don't all
bowling
weigh
ball
the same amount, so maybe 4 5 bowling balls. Imagine, oh, and
Yeah.
just sitting
That it has anti-inflammatory in it also.
The
That's
anti-inflammatory has been really helpful for my knees. Yep. So I think that's a big long story. You got some anchor moments in there of how we got our son. You got
Well,
bonus anchor moments. You got
that's
bonus
great.
stories in there.
That's
And
great.
I just a quick plug. I also have a book, Anchor Moments, Hope, Healing, and Forgiveness. If anyone is interested as well. And it shares a journey in my life when I asked God to please help me be a more forgiving person.
not only to other people, but also to forgive yourself,
Yeah. Well,
Gina.
I
Mhm.
actually was only because one person, a couple of people at work, but one person in particular had an argument with me and it was hard for me to go to work. And when I'd walk by her desk, it'd make me want to throw up. And I thought, this is terrible. And I asked God to please help me be a more forgiving person. So I was thinking so I could forgive her and I would feel better. And boy, when you ask God something, he fulfills it sometimes in ways you don't even know. And in about a month's time, a lot of crazy things happened. And it taught me how to learn how to forgive myself, how to forgive a lot of other people, not just that one lady, and how to give a 6-step apology when I've really screwed up and hurt somebody's feelings and didn't mean to. And how I could really thoroughly ask for forgiveness and be forgiven
Sometimes
to other
people,
people.
like I know you mentioned in one of your videos about how you felt when you were first diagnosed with diabetes and you felt like a failure and you felt
And I
like
felt ashamed. I wasn't going to tell anybody I had
ashamed.
diabetes
Uh-huh.
when I first found out.
You
And then
gotta
I,
be, you
yeah.
gotta figure a way to be gentle to yourself.
hmm And and you got to forgive yourself too. And that's when I realized, hey, wait a minute. Oh, you ding dong. You even wrote a book about forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself. And I did. And that my first video on my type 2 diabetes playlist was doing that video. And it was called Type 2 and Feeling Blue. Try this. And then I talked about how to get over that
Guilt and
shame and
shame.
guilt
Mhm.
and live your best healthy life now.
That's
So
awesome. A lesson well needed, and thank you for sharing it with you. I want to thank you both for taking so much time out of your day to discuss all this. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I hope so.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for inviting us, Lori. And I am one of your subscribers. I subscribed right before you had 1,000 subscribers. So I'm really excited
Awesome.
to see your channel grow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeff, Gina. It's been a pleasure. And with that, I'm going to call this a wrap.
All right. Well, everybody, hold on to your anchor moments and make it a great day.
It's not your show.
Thank you.